about 350 yards up, he's going to hit about a 500, I expect, don't you think?
That's the beach, man. Oh, Charlie, I'm hot today.
Let's go while we're young.
A looper?
A looper. You know, the caddy, looper.
Find your center. Picture the shot, Danny. Picture it. Turn off all the sound. Let it happen. Be the ball, Danny. You're not being the ball, Danny.
Well, it's kind of difficult with you talking like that.
Okay, I'm not talking. Stop talking. Not talking now.
Hey, welcome back to the Chasing Daylight, everybody. We got a little special Friday interview segment. I normally put these out on Mondays, but Joe's sitting here with me.
Yeah, what's up?
And we wanted to give a shout out to our sponsor, Good Walk Coffee. So I got in touch with Chris, and I'd like to welcome Chris Mellow, owner of Good Walk Coffee, to the show. How you doing, sir?
Hey, doing great. Thanks a lot for having me, guys.
No problem, man. You've been a huge supporter of ours, and we've gone through some changes here recently. We had a great phone call last week about all the things taking place, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I haven't had you on the show yet.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
What the heck have I been doing? So thanks for taking some time out of your day to hop on the pod with us and explain to everybody why Good Walk Coffee is our sponsor. So first off, let's start off with your background, your history, and get into what got you starting with Good Walk Coffee.
Sure. Yes, my background basically business-wise has always been in marketing, brand building, digital marketing on the agency side. So for years and years now, I've been helping clients start businesses, launch new brands, market their brands, and always was looking for something to launch of my own. I saw just the kind of pure joy and excitement, that these entrepreneurs would come in with. And it just seemed like, wow, like a lot of the sort of tedious tasks that, sometimes make work really unenjoyable seemed really, really enjoyable for these people. And so, it took a long time for kind of the coffee business idea to come around. But basically the short story is, I've been really big into coffee for a long time. I've lived in LA for about the last 20 years, and Los Angeles is the epicenter of what they call the third wave of coffee roasting. So you've got, really, really amazing roasters like Blue Bottle and Intelligentsia and all these other people that were out here in LA kind of changing the industry. And so, following along in what they were doing, I saw essentially they were all competing around this idea of better and better quality, micro lot beans, nano lot beans. It kind of got into a little bit of a Portlandia situation where, people will put the farmer's name on the side of the bag, and, it's like, you want to know his favorite movie, and all of this stuff. So I saw, just from my marketing background, that a lot of times when an industry kind of tops out at being able to compete on quality alone, there's an opportunity for brands to be created that have some other kind of passion point or, some other thing for consumers to latch onto. And there were specifically a couple other coffee companies that were starting to build things just, around lifestyles. None of the ones we found had anything to do with coffee. I mean, they were completely different kind of lifestyle plays. But as kind of a lifelong golfer also, I thought, I wonder if this could work in the golf industry, because, I'd been, like a lot of people, following a lot of the new brands that were coming out and watching some of the change and, almost kind of the changing of the guard from kind of the big OEMs being the focus to now there's so much focus on these like small handcrafted kind of, really cool brands that were coming out. And I thought, well, that seems like a really, great opportunity if I can merge this, this kind of coffee, passion that I have with, the golf passion as well. And kind of the more I dug into it, I realized that, there's a lot of people that play golf and are really passionate about coffee too. And so we launched, yeah, and that's how we connected. But we, launched about a year ago. We're actually just almost coming up on our, 1 year birthday anniversary, whatever it is. And, kind of went into last, September through December, kind of the holiday season, just sort of, still, almost using it as like a validation, like, is this really something that will catch on? And I think one of the things that we found almost immediately when we started kind of doing a lot of like social media outreach and just kind of starting to get out there a little bit was that people were really, really excited about the idea of a coffee based around kind of the passion of golf. So, that, I think that really added a lot of fuel to our fire and said, okay, well, how do we kind of, create more of a growth goal and get this in front of more people and just get more golfers and people at large to be aware that we exist so they can try us and enjoy the coffee.
Yeah, I the very first time I saw the breakfast ball blend, I was like, I sent you a message and I'm like, we have to work together.
Yeah. And I mean, that's, it's really funny how, I've kind of been on the periphery of the golf industry for a while through, either friends or, being in Southern California, pretty close to, Carlsbad and, the headquarters of a bunch of other companies. Everyone always told me, oh yeah, the golf industry is really small. If you're doing something that's, going to be successful and it's cool, like you'll end up meeting almost everybody eventually. And it's true, it's you and I kind of connected, and immediately I, saw what you were doing and was familiar with, the Breakfast Ball blog and said, yeah, this makes a ton of sense. And I think, there's been a lot of instances like that where we've been able to kind of partner with people and do really cool collaborations and things. Because also, like, we don't have any real like direct competitors right now, so we're not coming in and like stepping on anybody's toes or trying to eat their lunch. So everyone's been really, really willing to collaborate.
So, where are you guys? Where's the headquarters? Where are you based out of?
Sure. We're in Orange County, California. We're almost exactly in between San Diego and LA. So, basically close enough to, both kind of the coffee epicenter and the golf epicenter, just to be dangerous enough. And yeah, it's, we're based here. We have our corporate offices here, our warehouses here. And then we actually have roasting facilities in Oakland, California, up in Northern California, and then Seattle as well. So,
oh, nice.
We do spread around our footprint a little bit. So,
how in the year that you've been as established as a coffee brand, how much have you grown, like in the employee side? Are you still where you were, or have you added a bunch of new people?
No, I mean, we're still very small people wise. And that's, was a really kind of purposeful decision. I mean, it's, I think tempting to, keep adding people and, really quickly that can become kind of a piece of overhead that's, a little bit unwieldy. So, right now, like basically everybody that works with us, we've got some people that come into the warehouse and, get out orders in the morning and, usually a lot of them are local high school golf team kids or,
oh, nice.
friends and things like that. Yeah. So we're able to kind of scale up. We do see, sales kind of, spike around certain, during the holidays, even like during Labor Day holiday, we had a sale and there's kind of a big spike then. So, it's hard to grow, and like keep everyone on and still have, capital for investing in all these different product things we want if we were to, get too big too fast. So, I've really been trying to follow some advice we got early on that was, basically stay as small as you can for as long as you can. And so far it's helped for sure.
So who's the coffee flavor guru? Is that you or better half, or there's somebody that's like, this is the one we're going with next? Because the Costa Rica brand, the Costa Rica blend, it's phenomenal.
Thank you. Thank you. I wish, well, I could just take credit for it, not mention anyone else. But when they heard this, they wouldn't be too happy. No, we've got a small team, and we actually have, one person who's our coffee kind of advisor guru, who, has been in the industry a long time and is familiar with everything from, green bean importing through roasting, and had his own, coffee cafe, and has roasted himself for a long time. And a lot of times, he'll be the one who first says like, hey, we need to add this to our portfolio, or, the Costa Rican was actually something that came about. We were just looking for another medium roast coffee to add, because those tend to be kind of the best sellers. We had our breakfast ball blend that we launched with, which is a single origin Colombia bean. But basically there was some really, really good beans from Costa Rica from a certain estate that had kind of come to market, that he was aware of and said, hey, I think this would make like a really, really good medium roast for us to offer. So that's how it comes about. Some of it is kind of just like, people are asking for, a light blend, or people are asking right now, it's kind of, we're hearing a lot of people that want a decaf so they can kind of have something to drink into the afternoon if they're not, like me, and just keep riding the caffeine wave all day.
I don't get the decaf.
I don't get it either. That's one thing about coffee, though. It's so cool. It's almost like wine, and you're putting in the work to find these beans from these estates, as you just mentioned. That's really cool. Yeah,
it is, and that's it's a really fun part, because it's exactly like you said. It's a lot like wine, or being kind of a fine dining chef, where there's all these things that like our roasters will tell you about, the roast profile, or how they're going to make this minute change to kind of bring out some different flavor profiles. And, it is pretty amazing, just kind of the level of artistry and then also science that goes into, roasting a coffee bean.
Now, are you going to do roasting in-house, or are you going to keep it to the people that do it?
Yeah, it probably, eventually I think the idea is to grow to where we would have our own roasting facilities. It's a big investment. And, to be honest, for us, there's a lot of, the whole industry is based on kind of, these different, they call them toll roasters or co-packers. So, it's almost like renting someone else's kitchen. So we're able to kind of, take our beans, take our roasters, they have the same machines at a lot of the places we roast at. So a lot of the kind of roasting profile even becomes computerized. So it's really easy to kind of replicate and quality control, so that every time you buy a bag of breakfast ball, it's going to taste the same, even if it was roasted in a different batch. So luckily for us, there's kind of a lot more flexibility in being able to use other facilities. We're still in control of all of the beans and the roasting. So it's, it allows us kind of that scalability. And for instance, right now we're looking at, we have quite a bit of our percentage of our sales are on the East Coast. So, we're looking at a facility potentially on the East Coast where we could roast out of and ship out of, just to kind of cut 1 or 2 days out of the shipping from the West Coast, and get people on the East Coast their coffee even a little bit fresher.
I'm surprised. Why do you think the East Coast is more popular with it? That's...
I don't know. It's been an interesting kind of experiment. Like I said, we kind of were using the first several months as a little bit of kind of like a test run. And it has been really interesting, because I think, you would think that there's a lot of the coffee kind of, culture on the West Coast. But we had really, quick and really big adoption from people, in the Southeast all over, North Carolina, Georgia, that the whole Southeast area, and then also, very big sales in the Midwest. And I think when we look at it and we hear some of the feedback that we're getting, it's just that, the kind of, maybe the brand sort of position that we're tapped into, that kind of, recognition or kind of a nod to sort of the tradition of the golf lifestyle, but in more of a modern kind of sense, it seems to resonate really well across the country.
I think that it's the blend of golf and coffee is so awesome, because every morning I have to have coffee before I go play. That's one thing.
Yeah.
And with golf, you get these loyalists to brands, or whatever the case may be, to a certain course. And I mean, it's just a great idea, and I think inspiring the next generation, and it'll just continue forever.
That's cool. Yeah, I think so too. I think that it's interesting. Golfers tend to be, really brand loyal. I mean, you think about, I don't know about you guys, but it's like it took me so long to even try like a different ball or a different glove.
Yeah.
It was just like, well, this is the glove I've always worn,
I'm a whore. I try everything.
Now I can't stop trying stuff.
I've converted
well,
you.
Yeah, no, I think that's been the really fun thing is like, once I kind of started, obviously now that we meet a ton of people from different companies and a lot of cool brands that are popping up. And, I've been trying everything now. And I'm like, man, this is just so fun because you're almost like also getting to participate a little bit in their journey of like, how do you make your gloves different, and what might I get, out of this product versus this product. And, as much as I think golfers are kind of brand loyal, we tend to be like tinkerers, like you're never really settling for one product or one club. You're always looking for something that might, help your game, just some little incremental amount. So it's been interesting just kind of seeing that, how much people like to discover new brands too.
So how much has your coffee mind been blown since you started this? Because I'm sure you had a good idea of what you were getting into, but so over the past year, would you consider yourself like a full-blown coffee aficionado now, to where you just kind of liked coffee in the beginning, or where do you think you're at in that world?
Well, I started off pretty nuts about coffee anyway. I had already, my kind of coffee education is a little bit limited to like online courses and some local kind of roasting overviews and things, tours of roasteries. But, it's definitely advanced to the point, maybe where, almost too much where, you're getting into kind of different trends and, importing and, how beans are washed and all this stuff. Like maybe I probably don't need to know as much as I do now, but I still love it. I think, it's been really interesting just watching kind of all of the different, trends happening and figuring out like how we might be able to participate in it. Like, we launched with bags of whole bean and coffee grounds. It's like really just traditional kind of coffee retail. But, anybody who's paid any attention to the grocery store aisle, knows how much K-Cups have just absolutely exploded, in the last several
K-Cups are everywhere.
years. And so, and it's, it is convenient. Like I'll admit, like we've got a Keurig machine at home, and a lot of times, like if it's a morning and I'm just running out the door, like it's really nice to just be able to throw a pot in and, get moving. So, we always knew that was going to be something that we were going to develop, but, kind of part of our corporate sort of ethos when we were first launching always was to be as socially and like environmentally responsible as possible. So, there was always a little bit of that, tension and like, how do we do K-Cups in a way that's not, just throwing more garbage into the planet. So, we took a long time and found actually a vendor that has these really unique K-Cup cartons that are a lot more recyclable than just your typical kind of plastic pods. And it actually, the technology they use, is actually even better for the cup of coffee itself. It gives a little bit more of a flavor extraction. So like, those things are all really fun for me to dive into on the coffee side and figure out, are there ways to sort of, do business and, sell things, but do it in a way where we're not going to be kind of compromising any, of our sort of core beliefs too. And that the next sort of thing on that line is cold brew in cans, like what they call in the coffee industry, ready to drink or RTD. That's been another really just hugely exploding area of the coffee industry. And so, we're working down that path. We actually have an aluminum can vendor that uses, I think it's like 40% recycled aluminum and, kind of, again, is doing things in a way where, we can feel sort of good about not just creating irresponsible packaging. So that's going to be pretty exciting. Probably coming like early next year, we should be out with a cold brew can.
Yeah, that'll be me. I love my cold brew
I
iced
love
coffee.
cold brew. Dude, I don't want to undermine the saving the planet stuff that you guys are doing, which is awesome. But I'm really geeked about aluminum coffee cans right now.
Absolutely.
that is really cool.
And it's fun because it's we were actually at a meeting where we're looking at all these different cans from different vendors and sizes, and it's fun bringing the golf aspect to it as well, because like one of the vendors said, oh, this is this really cool size. It was almost like a little like a stubby beer can, and immediately we just discarded it because we're like, nope, if you put that in a cup holder in a cart, it's gonna get stuck down there.
Yep, not getting it out.
So everything also has to work really well, like out on the course. And it's, are you walking? Are you, riding? Like, how is this going to work? So that's kind of the fun part too, is we always bring these really weird demands to the vendors who aren't used to having to consider like how a golfer is going to drink it.
Well, and like with craft beers, going back to aluminum cans, the artwork that you're getting on some of these cans is just unreal. So, I mean, there's a really good spot for you guys to really showcase, your brand.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really cool. I mean, there's a lot packaging wise we can do. Distribution wise, it also you think about most of your kind of snack shacks or halfway houses or even pro shops. It's like the refrigerator is either beer
Gatorade.
and the other good stuff, or it's Gatorade and maybe a Monster or Red Bull or something. But there's not really anything, coffee wise. If you just want a little bit extra energy, it's, usually it's like a soda or,
a can of coffee at the turn.
That would be
is
awesome.
So good.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm super excited for that.
Yeah. Well, we'll make sure you guys get some of the first cases.
We're going to need some 24 packs shipped out to Vegas pronto.
Speaking of cold brew, any thought on those pouches that you can buy and make your cold brew at home yourself? Have you thought about that?
Yeah. So, we've been looking a lot at all the different kind of products. I mean, that's kind of the cool part too, that, just talking about kind of geeking out on the coffee side is there's a lot of product innovation going on in coffee, whether it's, these instant, little packs or the cold brew pouches. We're looking at all of it because, again, I think, it'd just be really cool to have some kind of products where there's, a really good tie-in to how someone might use it, not just at home, but also at their club or at the course or something too. And so that's kind of the fun part, is just looking at everything that's available and trying to figure out what fits our brand the best.
Yeah, I the other day I bought some of those concentrated little pods that's just concentrated cold brew, and just mix it with water and milk, and I was very surprised how good that was.
Yeah,
those are very
so we're absolutely, and the concentrate actually is a really good kind of commercial option too. Actually, probably can't reveal just yet who we're working with, but we've got a couple.
Do we need the breaking news
got
button?
a couple. No. I honestly,
man, so ready.
Man,
it'll
his
be a
finger
tease,
was on
it. It'll be a tease for when I can, once the embargo is lifted and I can mention it. There's some really cool stuff that we're going to be doing with kind of an indoor facility type place, where we'll have some cold brew concentrate that they'll be serving too. So that's kind of the fun part, is looking at it, all these new opportunities too for, people don't just make coffee at home. There's all these other places that they can potentially kind of discover us and try us. So we're working on all those fronts.
So one of the things one of the products that I'm using that's coffee related, that's not from you guys, so this is a little, here you go, here's something you can try, is grinds. Are you familiar with grinds?
Mm-hmm.
They're the
is that the mushroom?
No. It's like
it's
tobacco.
like a tobacco pouch, but it's filled with coffee.
It's filled with coffee grinds instead of tobacco.
All right.
So it's just, it's like a can of Skull or a can of Copenhagen, but it's pouches of coffee grinds that are flavored, and it's, basically just a caffeine jolt for you. But I have a can in my golf bag because it's awesome. So that's something to consider until we can get our cans.
I know some people who might appreciate that too, just to finally kick the actual Copenhagen or Skull addiction on the course.
I mean, a lot of golfers do that.
Oh yeah, so. My James Fights, he turned me on to them. He's like, dude, these are amazing. It's not tobacco, it's just coffee grinds, and they've got, I think, 6 different flavors. But I mean, some of them are okay, some of them are garbage. But
yeah, they were sitting at the register one day, and I just bought some because I was like, oh, this is so different and cool. So I grabbed some myself.
Yeah, so Good Walk,
that's very cool.
A Good Walk breakfast ball.
Honestly, the pouch. Circular logo, the Good Walk logo would look great on top of that.
Yeah, just the guy, we can animate the guy just kind of leaning over a little bit and just sitting in the front.
So where did the Good Walk name come from? What made you go that route?
Yeah, so it's the saying, golf is a good walk spoiled. It's kind of, it's heavily attributed to Mark Twain. I grew up when I was probably 4 or 5, learning how to play from my granddad. And it was something that he used to say, it was always kind of, he was one of those guys who was a scratch golfer into his 70s and, would shoot his age, into his late 70s and stuff. And, but he always was like angry when he played. And I definitely got some of that from him. It's like, no matter how good of a shot you hit, you're just angry that something didn't go absolutely perfect. So it was kind of, I just remembered him always saying that. And when we were looking at names, just that idea of Good Walk, just taking that portion of it, kind of harkened back to just, the times that just one of the kind of driving things of why we play the game, right? Which is, just being outside and being on this, beautiful golf course out in nature. And, whether you're walking or riding or, whatever it is, it's kind of just, supposed to sort of elicit a little bit of, those times that everybody sort of has and shares. And so when we were looking at, various things like, we really liked how that kind of came together, the whole Good Walk Coffee Company, as far as kind of just a little bit of like a anchor for the story. Also small things. We really liked the fact that, Good Walk Coffee Company ended up being also GWCC. So it kind of had this, you could kind of bite off a bunch of different country club logos and do different graphic things with those, but we haven't really done much of that yet. But it's one of those things. I think it's almost all golfers have heard the term, although it might be a little bit of an older term. So we were trying to kind of put a modern spin on it.
So let's dig into the coffee. Why don't you rattle off your flavors and how they come and how people can, the different options they have for how they can buy them.
Sure. So we have our 2 kind of core coffees, Breakfast Ball, Columbia Medium Roast. It's a single source Colombian bean. That is available in whole bean, ground coffee, and in K-Cups also. As well as then we have our Clubhouse South America Dark Roast. And that's a blend actually from Brazil, Colombia, and El Salvador. I think is actually got a little bit of El Salvador in there, but it's mostly Brazil, which is a really good dark roast coffee. That one also is whole bean, ground, and K-Cups. And then the kind of one of the extensions you mentioned was our Costa Rican coffee. We call that Center Cut. And it'll be kind of a different Costa Rican bean every year or every crop, but we basically work with, our coffee guy works with a couple importers and tries to select the best Costa Rican bean every year. So this one we got was amazing. And we're just, Costa Rican coffee is so good that I think we're going to always have something that people are going to love. That's a medium roast also. Right now it's in whole bean and in ground. We're actually going to be adding K-Cups of that also. So that's kind of little breaking news. That's coming.
Oh, hey.
Then we have actually an Ethiopia light roast, which, interestingly enough, some people hear light roast and think it's like, watered down or not flavorful. It's actually really, really kind of medium bodied and flavorful, but it's, an Ethiopian bean is really kind of, mellow. There's not a lot of acidity or anything at all. That one we call Goats and Glory. And it's based a little bit around a story how the coffee bean was actually discovered by a goat herder who was out on the high plains of Ethiopia and noticed his goats eating the berry of this plant, and they would get tons of energy and jump around. So he decided to start trying to eat them as well. This is a true story, or at least it's a legend or whatever. But that's kind of how coffee was discovered, and we were thinking about that and kind of the parallels to how sheep and goats and rabbits were kind of also nature's first greenskeepers and golf course architects. We thought there was a cool little overlap in how some of the things that bring us the most joy in life, like golf and coffee, were actually kind of brought to us by goats and animals.
I thought that was pertaining to like the goats of the game, like Tiger, Jack, Arnold, and all that. That's what I thought.
And it could be that too. It's maybe we'll adapt the story a little bit and go that direction. But
I like
had
that
a lot
for
of
the goats better. That's a more heartwarming story. Everybody's got something named after the goats, but these are from actual goats.
No, yeah, I didn't know that. That's what's great about this. I just learned something I didn't know.
Yeah. And anytime you pick a celebrity as an endorser, they bring some baggage with them, So it's So Goats and Glory is available also whole bean and grounds only. With a little bit more of one of our specialty coffees, and then last specialty coffee we have right now just in whole bean. Although we're doing a roast right now where we're going to grind some up too and offer whole bean and grinds is our Dew Sweeper, and that is a organic French roast blend. And it's actually beans from Africa, Indonesia, and South America, and was just picked to be the absolute best bomb dark coffee we could make that didn't have any bitterness, no real high acidity, and just be super drinkable. And that one's always been one of my favorites because it's really good. It's just so flavorful, and it's still I drink it black because it's so good. You don't want to water it down.
Yeah, that one was my favorite until the Costa Rican came out.
Yeah, it's and like I said, I mean they're all really good. We're really purposeful about the way that we wanted to make coffee. I think that unfortunately for a lot of people that haven't had the ability to kind of try a lot of different beans or roasts, that might just go to someplace like Starbucks. The unfortunate thing is, Starbucks tends to have a really distinct flavor. They over roast their beans almost across the board. You get a dark coffee from Starbucks that's really difficult to drink it black. I mean, you basically have to use some kind of, cream or milk or something. And I think it's unfortunate because there's kind of a whole generation of coffee drinkers that just think that they don't like certain kinds of coffee just because they've been sort of, taught that that's supposed to be the flavor of a dark coffee. So, we're seeing, and, if there was kind of a silver lining to the pandemic and everyone working from home is, we've noticed that a lot of people that had gotten away from making their own coffee at home have gotten back to it. They're either dusting off their old, machines, or they're buying new, French presses and pour overs. And a lot of people are discovering that, you can make really good coffee better than you could buy, in a chain store for cheaper than you would buy in a chain store just with a couple minutes in the morning. So that's kind of cool to see that resurgence happening.
What's your favorite way to make it? Is it French press, pour over?
Pour over.
Yeah. See, I gotta try that.
You do. You really do. It's not hard at all. It doesn't take really that much more time than even just, doing a French press or anything. I mean, there's a couple more steps, but I really just like that there's, you can play around with a couple of the different kind of ratios and elements. So you basically and you can look online, there's a million different recommendations for the ratio of coffee bean to water to use. Like roughly with most of our coffees, I'll do 43 grams of coffee kind of coarse ground or medium coarse ground with 700 milliliters of water. But you can kind of change those, those ratios, and you can really taste the difference.
That is coffee nerdum to the extreme right there. Oh my goodness, that's why the K cups work so good for me. Open, shut, push button.
Yeah, well, and I didn't even mention the water temperature either. So that's the last factor is, when you're doing a pour over, you get an electric kettle so that you can tell exactly and control the temperature. And, so you can play around like I'll do one at 205, one at, 200 and, start to see, does it change the flavor? Is it, change kind of the acidity or anything? And so, yeah, you want to get full, Bryson DeChambeau on it. That's pour over is the way to go.
My Amazon account is about to get attacked.
It's an art. I mean, it really is.
So can you, the pour over, can you really taste the difference in the pour over?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure.
See,
I mean, and it's
the French.
It's just like, and there's a smoothness to it and like a nuance to flavor where you're like, oh wow, this is why people do this.
So the first time I experienced French press coffee was here in Vegas. My wife and I were staying out at Lake Las Vegas at the resort out there, and they brought it over, in the French press, and you actually pressed it and poured it yourself, and I was just blown away with the taste. And so I went and got one. And I love the French press, but what is the difference between the French press and the pour over? Because I'm coffee noob in that realm.
Sure, no, and some of this too. I mean, that's these are things I was learning as I was kind of getting into it as well. So and this is delving again into coffee nerddom. So as soon as it gets boring, just yell or hang up. But so the French press, you put coffee grounds basically in the hot water and they soak, right? They steep in the hot water, and then the press kind of separates the grounds from the water and you have your coffee. The pour over, you're essentially pouring the hot water through the beans, and then the coffee is going through a paper filter. So the paper filter actually adds a layer of kind of smoothness to it. It takes out a lot of the acids that are in the beans, and the acids the oils, and the oils are what gives it kind of a little bit of acidity. So like if you like cold brew has like really low acidity. It's easy on your stomach, all those things. Pour over will have some kind of a similar thing happening, but just because more of the oils are going to get filtered out in that paper filter. So that's just one of the kind of big differences between a French press and pour over is just that there's that kind of filtration happening versus the French press where it's just all steeping right in the water.
Yeah, and I know with the French press, the steeping, it's got to sit for a little while. Does the pour over, you can right away, or does it have to sit as well?
Well, it doesn't sit so much, but you kind of have to stand there because instead of like a drip machine that's actually just, kind of measuring out how much water to put over the grounds automatically, you're the drip machine. So you take your kettle, you pour, about 100, 120 grams of water over the top of the grounds. And then when the water all goes through, you pour the next pour of water. So you do that about 3 or 4 times. So it's not as kind of set it and forget it as a French press. It has a couple extra steps, but they're really easy. It's not any big hassle.
Oh man! Now, see, I got to do this now.
I almost bought one the other day.
I'm gonna have to get one. Where do you recommend getting one from? A pour over?
Amazon. Yeah, okay. Just grab a Chemex. Well, there's a bunch of good ones, but I mean, Chemex is kind of the one of the standards. They're just a Chemex glass vessel. Make sure you get the Chemex brand filters also, because those filters were actually designed by the engineer to work with that pour over vessel. And then, there's a bunch of different electric kettles on Amazon. I think Bonavita is, I think the one we have at the office is good. It's not that expensive. Anything that has kind of an electric control on it where you can control the temperature will work. And then that's all you need in the grinder.
Yeah,
I don't think you have a grinder, do you?
No, I got one because remember we got that order kind of got mixed up, and I got a whole bean.
Oh,
and so
right.
I went to Amazon and did a next day delivery on a grinder because I had to have one.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's and then if you have your grinder and you've got the kettle and the vessel, you're all set.
Oh man, take it.
Oh, and a scale. Do you have a kitchen scale?
I do.
Yeah, you want to. That's how you're going to measure everything
right now. So I'm weighing foods.
Yeah, it's you're going to want to. That's the one thing you have to be kind of precise about the the measurement of how much water you're using and all that stuff. But it gets really fun. It's like, I know you guys. I watch all the videos from the club workshop and all the tinkering you guys are doing. So this is just like tinkering with your clubs, but tinkering with your coffee.
True.
It becomes a healthy obsession.
Yay, that's what I need, another obsession. Well, hey, so let's get into your golf game a little bit. As anybody's not aware, Chris was a huge sponsor for us for Legends Never Die. Actually came out and played with us, served coffee in the morning, which everybody absolutely loved. They were really, really pleased with it, how you showed up and helped out. So big thank you for that, and looking forward to the 2021 event being a little bit better. So hopefully no COVID will dampen it a little bit this time. So, but what are you gaming right now? What's in your bag, and how often are you getting out?
Yeah. Well, I get out at least once a week for 18 holes, and I've been trying to sneak in at least another 9. I go to the range, quite a bit just to kind of, humble myself. And, whenever I'm feeling too good, I just go there and, have a dose of reality. But it's been interesting because for a long time I wasn't playing nearly enough or as much as I'd wanted. And I'd kind of go out like a lot of people. It's like, several times a year you go out and play a scramble or something. And, there's some format where you're able to hide all of the really like shortcomings in your game, and you hit a couple of good drives, sink a couple long putts, and, you help the team out. So it's, the last several years have been kind of shaking myself out of that and getting back into trying to, get my handicap back lower and really shore up parts of my game that have been ignored for a long time. So I actually just finally went and did an iron fitting a few weeks ago. Yeah. And I had done, driver fittings and other things. And, it's just, I'm a huge data geek. So it's like, it's awesome being able to go somewhere and see the TrackMan data and, throw a different, shaft in a club and see what it's doing to the ball flight and everything. But that was something that, specifically I wanted to do with my irons because it had a long time where I've kind of been pretty certain that my lie needed to be adjusted and just never did it. And it was pretty amazing. I'm sorry I didn't do it a long time ago because it's helped kind of straighten out a lot of stuff that was happening.
What clubs did you just adjust the clubs you have, or did you get some new sticks?
Yeah, no, so a couple of years ago, I actually was buying some new clubs, and there was I have PXG irons right now, which I feel like depending on who I'm talking to, sometimes I need to apologize, or sometimes I don't. But I am going to say the caveat: I got them on sale. So I have the Gen 1 0311Ps, but I actually got them when they just released the Gen 2s. They had this ridiculous deal on the Gen 1 stuff.
Yep, they sure did.
And I've loved them. I mean, they're, for me, it's like, again, I'm looking for a lot of, forgiveness. Like, they still look like a good club, and they feel really soft and nice. So when I went to go get fit, I was actually, I wasn't sure if I was going to end up switching out some shafts or even looking at new heads, but, they did all the kind of Mizuno shaft optimizer stuff, and the shaft that was in there is, the right shaft for me. The heads were, working well. They just needed to be flattened a couple degrees, and, all was good. So
nice.
Right now, I think they'll probably stay in my bag at least a little while longer. I don't know. Those new Mizunos are looking really nice. So I might just get bored and decide to switch them out.
I hit them the other day. They feel really good.
Are they? Oh, don't tell me that.
What course are you playing out there?
We play a bunch of the local courses. There's one actually, it's like literally just down the street from us. It's called Taharis Creek. If you've ever heard of or played, it's a day rate course. The front nine is okay, but the back nine is just like absolutely beautiful. I mean, it plays up and down these canyons.
It looks like it's built in the middle of a canyon.
It is. The back nine especially is just like, we shoot a lot of our photography out there because it's so beautiful. And then I live in a community that has a club that I play at too, called Coto de Casa, and it's what is it? Robert Trent Jones Jr. There's two 18-hole courses, but I don't know. I like to walk and I like to play 9 holes, and neither of the two courses are really suited for doing either of those things. So I tend to kind of play all of them.
Yeah, we can't walk out here. I was just out in that area and played San Clemente Muni a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it's a great place, isn't it?
Oh, I mean, it was $40 for me. I mean, that's insane for out of towner. It was great. I loved that place. Yeah,
that's why. I mean, it's I don't know. It's difficult for me to kind of decide on kind of joining a club because there's just so many courses down here that are so fun, and I actually like playing different courses rather than just playing the same course over and over.
Yeah.
So we've got, San Clemente, we've got the Ranch, which is, the 9-hole Ben Browns, which is really cool. Arroyo Trabuco. There's a bunch of really fun courses out here.
Yeah, I did Goat Hill while I was also out there too. That place was fun.
Did you? Yeah, Goat's awesome.
See what you're
I went down there for the Wishbone Brawl last year and saw Jeff Ogilvy.
Oh yeah,
that is. Yeah. It's such a cool place.
With US Open coming to Torrey Pines next year, you're gonna have to get a big old tent and just set up across the street. Sling some coffee.
You get an airplane with a banner.
I know, yeah. Something, or just sit out on a surfboard with a big, Sharpie board or something. Yeah. We're already thinking about some different kind of ways to be present there, but we'll see what actually ends up happening.
Okay, so the next big thing on the horizon is the aluminum cans, cold brew, coming next year. What else you guys got in the works that we can maybe tease a few folks about?
Yeah, I mean, mostly just how you'll be able to find us. COVID, as I kind of mentioned, ended up being a kind of a big, a big boost to online sales because everyone was working from home, they're shopping online. But it did put kind of a little bit of a damper on our retail plans. So we're back, in talking to a bunch of different clubs and a bunch of different courses about getting into their retail, because we know that not everybody lives and dies on the internet or on Instagram like us. So establishing kind of more of a retail distribution channels, something that'll be happening a lot this year. And then, also with some of our K-Cup expansion, we're looking at hopefully being at some resorts soon for the in-room coffee. So that's something that's going to be kind of a big push too, just so, guys are out on their bucket list trip or buddies trip. And, if you're in your room, why have Starbucks or Green Mountain coffee when you can have Good Walk coffee?
Yeah, I could see that abandoned big time.
Yeah, and very selfishly, I'm going to have to, personally go on all these sales trips because
absolutely
bummer.
Someone's going to have to do it. So.
Yeah, don't bring in that regional sales rep until after you've gone and established all these places.
I'm okay with doing some of them too if you need help.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, we've got a lot of volunteers, but it's.
Sorry, honey, I got to go to band and I'll be gone 5 days. It's work. Sorry.
I know it is. It's amazing how since golf has been kind of legitimized as a part of my work, it's made it so much easier to come up with excuses. It's like, sorry, honey, we got to go shoot content. Sorry, I'm going to meet a new partner or something. It's like, no, you're just going to play golf.
Going to Vegas for the weekend for a golf tournament. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, so we chatted before this. We got a little promo that we're going to run. And you guys have a subscription model, a couple different variations of that. But so what we're going to do, the 3-month subscription, if you sign up for a new 3-month subscription on the Good Walk Coffee website, and in the notes heard this on Chasing Daylight, you guys are going to throw in one of your caddy towels.
That's right. Yeah, and on top of that too, we know that we've had a discount code running for a while too. I mean, if you just want to buy a single bag, you don't want to commit to the whole subscription, be sure to use the discount code, which is CD Podcast 15, right? Did I get that right?
I think it's just CD Podcast.
CD Podcast. Okay, I'm glad you're there. But if you do, if you want the 3-month subscription, we've got K-cups and bags of grounds and whole beans, and mention the podcast. We'll throw in a caddy towel to the first 5 orders.
And the caddy towels are nice. They're not. That's not little throwaway. I got this on some janky little marketing website. They're really nice.
Oh yeah, no, they're the Winston collection embroidered caddy towels that quite a few people are carrying these days.
So, hey, thanks so much for coming on. I feel bad that I didn't have you on sooner. You've been a big supporter of the show, and I really, appreciate you taking some time out of your day to hop on with us, explain a little bit more about Good Walk Coffee, help get that name out there, and we'll continue our relationship and get some more coffee in the hands of more golfers.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we've loved being a partner of yours and are looking forward to a lot of, good stuff coming up, and can't wait for the next event. Cause I gotta say, even though, the Legends Never Die one was kind of right in the midst of all the COVID stuff, it was the first event that I went to, after everything was shut down, and you guys did an incredible job. So I can't even imagine how good it's going to be once, some of the other sort of things are lifted and things go back to the way they were.
Well, thanks, man. That means a lot.
Yeah. Good to hear.
Always awesome to hear good feedback from stuff like that. So thank you so much. Much continued success to you guys. You're killing it so far. I can only see it just, blowing up even more. We're going to do our part to help get the word out. And, as Joe always says, get them K-cups. Thanks so
I
much.
really appreciate it, guys.
Thanks so much, Chris.
Absolutely.
And we look forward to the new stuff coming out next year. Have a great weekend.
You got it.
Thank you.
Thank
Later.
you.